Welcome to Parentville, where we share our stories as parents and children to help build strong families and communities. My name is Uma, and I'm the host of Parentville. Today, I'm excited to share more of the interesting conversation with my artist friend Deanna on encouraging creativity in children.
Some of the things too, being there's so many differences between when I grew up, I'm in my late 60s, my daughter being 40 and my granddaughter just turning a year and a half. The generation differences are so great now, but yet it boils down to our basic human needs: health,
Exactly.
wealth, and love.
Yeah.
And how do we give that to our children? When we had talked before, you had mentioned something about maybe some of the regrets, or not regrets so much as if I could change things looking back. And I think one of the things, I worked a lot, I had my own business, and for a while I was a single parent. And it was a matter of, you have to generate income, you want to support the family, you have to pay the bills. So consequently, there was that real challenge of how to do that, yet how to give the child attention. And I've got to say, a lot of times it's the children that suffer in that case, unless you happen to be wealthy and can afford to have that care, the good care for the children. I was fortunate that I had some very good friends and people that were able to watch my daughter when I was away at different times. But all in all, that would be something that I would like to see changed if I could go back in time, and just to be able to give my daughter even more attention, one-on-one attention, and not only attention, but paying attention. Because I think as parents, especially young parents, we tend to want to, or we tend to think that our child is going to be a clone of us, or at least I did, speaking for myself. And I don't think I allowed her all the freedoms or paid attention to what maybe other interests that she had were. And I encouraged the art. I handed her a paintbrush when she was still in a high chair. I did the art on the walls. A lot of the activities that I did with her were art. Now, they didn't hurt her in any way, because I think it did help her with the creativity and figuring things out. Another thing that she mentioned when I was speaking with her is that I gave her time to be alone, to explore and to do things for herself. And I think that's a challenge that we face as parents too. We want to throw those Velcro shoes on them. We want to have digital clocks instead of going through the process of taking the time and teaching them and giving them that one-on-one attention. Things tend to get really rushed through. Especially
I do think a lot of times solitude kind of sets the stage for some creative thoughts to flow, as opposed to being overly stimulated all the time. I know a lot of people, including myself, I get a lot of creative, unusual kind of thoughts and ideas in the shower of all places. And that's probably because you're enjoying your solitude there.
Right. Well, you're a very busy person with a very busy schedule too, Uma. Since I've retired and let go of my business, I have the time to do that. So fortunately, I was working out and meditating every single day. And for various reasons, I was not able to do it for a couple of weeks. And since that time, I do it every other day now. And it's so easy to do every other day. And I think that meditation, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and I've been doing it for quite a few years now, but I always recommend, if people are starting out in that, if you can do 30 seconds of just sitting still, or just be aware that you're sitting still, sit with your own thoughts. That's what's hard to do. We have so much noise, getting back to the technology, constantly surrounding us. I mean, here we are, we're on the computer, we're on Zoom.
Absolutely. I mean, clearly technology has a lot of benefits. Yeah, we enjoy life a lot more now than I would say probably generations ago. A lot of it thanks to technology. I have seen some teenagers who really seem to thrive on some creative opportunities on technology. And I'm not very well versed with all of them, but I know they have a lot of actually art and painting, kind of electronic painting. I'm not sure what they're called, but they have a lot of programs like that. Some of the children I work with, they show me their artwork, but it was all created electronically and digitally.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know enough about it to say how easy or difficult it is, or the work looks great.
I can't speak to that at all because I know absolutely nothing about it. But one thing I realize, it certainly has changed the advertising industry. At one time, if we look back, Norman Rockwell, and we look back at Wyeth, NC Wyeth, and these incredible, amazing artists that had so much skill that had been developed. And their work is just magnificent, of course, in museums. They did everything. They knew how to draw, they knew how to paint, they knew how to do sculpture, they knew how to create from nothing. And that I have a real respect for and a real admiration. Not that I don't, but I really can't speak to computer art or anything along those lines. I just think that the artists back then, we just don't necessarily, we don't see in advertising because things are much easier now. Not necessarily much easier. It takes, I'm sure, time and skill to learn about advertising.
But I think that brings up a good point. I was just thinking maybe it would be a really good idea for children to have a basic foundation of basic creative process, art, how to create from nothing, like you said. And then when they are older, hopefully they can use all that knowledge and skill and put that into some kind of good use in the electronic format.
Well, I think one positive thing, as you're saying, with the children that you work with that have created things, they have a sense of accomplishment. They've finished something and they've created something, and that in itself has a lot of value also. I think as parents, whether it's creativity, we set the example for children when raising them. It could be good, it could be not so good, but we teach them laughter, we teach them joy, we expose them, we teach them by setting those examples. And one thing my daughter had mentioned to me, and I said, looking back, what do you think were some of the better things that you've learned or you've grown up? And she mentioned honesty and integrity. She said she grew up thinking that the whole world was honest and had integrity. And it wasn't until really she got into college or later years that she was more on her own that she realized, unfortunately, that that is not the case. There's people out there that don't. So I think those are things that you can't hand a paintbrush to a child and say, here, learn integrity or learn honesty. Those are the fundamentals, and humor. That's something that comes by just setting an example for your children, and those are really important. And love, most important.
But that goes to show that there are things we can give our children and things they're going to learn the hard way in the life of hard knocks, right?
Right, for sure, which is okay. And that's another thing I think sometimes, trying to protect our children too much and keep them away from pain or that sort of thing. We have to learn to let them go. And that's a challenge, particularly as a single parent when you have only one child, to realize that at some point they grow up, they're not children, they can't be dependent, they have to be independent and responsible, which can be a challenge.
It is reassuring to remind ourselves that the most important things needed for raising children are fairly basic things like love, patience, being attuned to them, and giving them the freedom to explore within reasonable limits. Children thrive when they feel a sense of accomplishment and also when inspired to be hungry and thirsty for more. In the next episode, I will be talking with my friends Rajeshwari and Madhukar about sleep. Do not miss hearing about this very important topic from a pediatrician and a sleep specialist. Feel free to leave your comments below. If you like this video, please click like, subscribe, and share. If you are similarly interested in sharing your stories on Parentville, please email us at ourparentville@gmail.com. Thank you.